The Hacker News Network presents HNN Cast with your host, Space Rogue.
HNN Cast is sponsored by Astaro, simplifying security, and by TrustWave Spider Labs, providing advanced information security services to planet Earth. Become a sponsor. Email sales@hackernews.com.
This is Space Rogue for the Hacker News Network, and this is HNN Cast for the 3rd week of February 2011. We have a lot of news for you this week, but first, the big story that everyone is still talking about, the HB Gary mess. And that's exactly what it is. Like I said last week, there's some Hollywood mogul rubbing his hands together in glee over the possible movie implications of this whole HB Gary mess. In case you've been living under a rock the last 2 weeks, let me bring you up to speed. HB Gary Federal was an up-and-coming small security firm being run by CEO AutoRun. As a marketing tactic, he thought he would poke at the group Anonymous and drum up some press from the ensuing battle of words. After threatening to publicly identify several anonymous leaders, members of the group decided to strike back. But not with words, but with actions. Using some incredibly easy social engineering attacks, a horribly vulnerable, obscure CMS system, unpatched internal systems, careless password reuse across corporate systems, Twitter and LinkedIn, and trivial susceptibility to email phishing, Anonymous completely pwned HB Gary Federal and its CEO, AutoRun. HB Gary's servers were broken into, its email spools copied and dumped onto BitTorrent, its data destroyed, its website defaced. The damage wasn't limited to HB Gary Federal, but also hit rootkit.com, a site run by HB Gary's Greg Hogland. The fallout from this attack has been tremendous. The email spool has not only revealed just how weak HB Gary's so-called evidence was against Anonymous, but additional plans that HB Gary had to completely discredit and destroy the WikiLeaks organization. A proposal prepared for the law firm of Hunton and Williams found in the spool detailed plans to submit false documents to WikiLeaks, launch cyber attacks directly against the WikiLeaks main servers in Sweden, and to investigate the personal lives of WikiLeaks members in an effort to discredit them. And just who is the Hutton and Williams law firm? Well, they represent Bank of America, and were recommended to the Bank of America by none other than the Department of Justice. Of course, none of this takes into account the possible future phishing and other attacks that will be launched against the email addresses contained within the mail spool, which are probably fairly high-value targets. But that's not all. HB Gary was one of several firms hired by the U.S. Chamber of Commerce to investigate the personal lives and families of its political opponents. Some people find these tactics alarming, but I seriously doubt HB Gary is the first or only firm to utilize them. HB Gary wasn't alone in all of this. The emails show that they were working closely with Palantir Technologies and Barraco Technologies to develop the plans against the Chamber of Commerce and WikiLeaks enemies. The three companies had created Team Themis, Themis being the Greek goddess of divine law. I guess they thought they were above the law or something. Of course, now everyone is running away as fast as they can, claiming the emails are fake and that they had nothing to do with HB Gary, etc. There's been so much bad publicity to come out of this mess that HB Gary Federal actually canceled all their talks at the RSA and B-Sides conferences. They even closed their booth at the RSA conference, which wasn't cheap, after they claimed to have received threats of physical harm. HB Gary did not respond well to this mess at all. They could have at least apologized. Somebody at the company could have resigned, maybe. They could have spent a little more time and money to try to help others affected by this. But no, they decided to run away and stick their head in the sand and hope everyone forgets about it. People tend not to forget poster children very soon. This attack wasn't unique. It did not use any subtle or overly complex security issues. HB Gary was broken into with basic, well-known techniques. Techniques that security people preach about every day. Those of us in the security field keep harping on the same things. Patch your systems. Use strong passwords. Use different passwords. Don't share your password. If we can't do it ourselves, what hope do we have of getting everyone else to do it? There's more than just HB Gary news this week. Lots more. And we'll have it for you right after these messages.
Hey, this is Ryan Russell, Director of Information Security for BigFix. Some of you may know me as Blue Boar. You're watching HNN, the Hacker News Network.
Bye, 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 bye.
Welcome back to HNN Cast. Some new developments and a few older stories this week. First, you might remember the supposed breach of the online dating site Plenty of Fish. You remember, the CEO mentioned that someone did get in and managed to get off with at least a handful of usernames and passwords, and then they tried to claim that the same people were trying to blackmail him. We never did get the whole story of what happened there, but at some point there were allegations that eHarmony was also breached, and well, it looks like those allegations were true. According to Brian Krebs, someone has been attempting to sell collections of usernames and passwords on underground forums. eHarmony has confirmed that screen names, email addresses, and hash passwords for accounts on their advice site were compromised, but that the main site remains secure. And there is more news on Stuxnet, the worm that just won't go away. Symantec has released a new version of its Stuxnet dossier. The key points are that Stuxnet was indeed a targeted attack, that over 12,000 subsequent infections can be traced back to the original 5 target organizations. They also said that at least 3 variants of the worm exist, and there may possibly be a 4th, but Symantec is absolutely sure that the ultimate target was the Natanz nuclear facility in Iran. And in other Stuxnet news, there were rumors that Anonymous had somehow got a hold of a copy of the worm, which, considering that all the holes it uses have been patched, wouldn't be that big of a deal. But it turns out to be even less of a big deal since they only got the binaries and not the source. There have also been additional allegations pointing the finger at Israel as the originator of the worm. Lieutenant General Gabi Ashkenazi was publicly thanked for his involvement at his recent retirement party. At least that's an actual name, which is more than what the New York Times had. Last month we told you about the compromise of Lush.co.uk, which was thought to be totally separate from other Lush sites. But when a breach goes unnoticed for over 4 months, it is probable that your entire infrastructure has been owned. You might remember these were the same guys who had the time to make funny little lemmings videos since they thought this whole thing was so damn funny. Well, now it turns out that the breach was a little more extensive than they first thought, although Lush still claims that they are unrelated. Thousands of Australian and New Zealand customers of Lush Cosmetics have had to go through the hassle of canceling their credit cards after it was found that those sites were also compromised. Not so funny now, is it, Lush? We want to like Veracode, we really do. They have some really cool technology, and they're even giving away some free scans. And we know a lot of the people that work there. But when your CEO starts to make it up, you have got to question what the hell is going on over there. Veracode CEO Matt Moynihan was recently quoted as saying that Adobe's zero-day vulnerabilities were being traded on the black market for up to $5 million each. That could make a lot of people I know very rich, very quickly. Obviously, a lot of people call shenanigans, and Mr. Moynihan responded basically saying he pulled the number out of his completely made it up. When you have CEOs of respected companies going around spreading fear and making up, how the hell do you trust anything they say? Listen, Veracode, we'll give you a one-time pass, just this once, because we know who works there. But don't do it again. Next time you talk to Veracode, ask for an engineer. That's it for big news. We'll have the quickies later, but first it's tool time, which will be right up after these messages.
Hey, look. That's a cool fabric pattern on that couch.
It'll look nice in the living room, but the cat's just going to shed all over it.
Looking for a new couch? We have great deals this weekend at patternonThatCouch.com.
We have some great fabric patterns here at GreatFabricPattern.com.
We have a special today on non-shedding, hypoallergenic, organic, free-range kittens at FreeRangeKitten.com.
Does everybody know what time it is? Tool time! That's right, Bimford Tools is proud to present
Space Rogue. That's right, it's tool time again. First, as usual, the updates. Vera, the binary file visualizer, Fiddler Core, the web debugging proxy, Dradis, the pen test sharing framework, Arachni, the web app scanner framework, RAT, the remote access tool, and Nmap, that we all know and love, have all been updated. So, go update. And ever since October of last year, Nessus has been including an exploitable with field in the database for each vulnerability. Well, if you'd like to finally see that info in your output, update your Nessus. And now for some new Qualys has released an open source web application firewall, or WAF. IronBee is designed to run in the cloud. It includes the IronBee sensor as well as a libHTTP API. Check it out at ironbee.com. The HoneyNet project has released PhoneyC, a virtual client honeypot. In other words, rather than being a fake server that records attacks, it's a fake user that records any attacks from the websites it crawls. Basically what Microsoft calls a honey monkey. And since Microsoft's Strider Honey Monkey project doesn't seem too well maintained, this seems pretty timely. Mimic Data and Log Management version 1.0 has been released by Escapecom. Mimic records all interactive graphical user sessions. These include local console logins, VNC, remote desktop, Dameware, etc. Being event-driven, Mimic records only events triggered by logged-in users, thus only recording valid data and cutting logs down to half. Use Mimic to monitor business-critical servers, monitor system administrators, or third-party vendor access. Or your girlfriend, or boyfriend for that matter. And SQueRT 0.8 is a web GUI interface for Snort's SQL's database format. That's it for tools this week. Join us next week for our salute to tool time. And now a few quick stories we found on the net this week. More finger pointing at China this week, as Canada revealed that both the Finance Department and Treasury Board have suffered online attacks that have been traced back to machines from China. The Canadian government hasn't said much about the attacks at all. No idea if this was in fact some sort of APT or just a run-of-the-mill malware infestation. The Chinese authorities, of course, have denied any involvement and claim that they are victims too. Gary McKinnon, we haven't heard anything about him for a few weeks anyway. He still sits in limbo in the UK waiting to be extradited, or not, back to the US for breaking into NASA computer systems. In the meantime, it has been learned that none other than David Gilmour, the lead guitarist for Pink Floyd, has picked up the tab for his psychiatric bills. We'll let you make up your own joke about being comfortably numb. If you've been using the computers in your local public library, it's probably a good idea to check out the USB or PS2 ports for hardware keyloggers. 2 such devices have been found attached to computers in libraries in Manchester, England. If you're forced to use such machines, make sure you are extra vigilant for such attacks. If you aren't forced to use such machines, then why the hell are you? If you've been looking for a job in Ireland, be sure to double check any job offers you get. Evidently, RecruitIreland.com was breached and the entire database of some 400,000 email addresses was siphoned off. It is believed that the emails have already been used to send out fake job offers. If you have surfed over to the BBC's 6 Music and 1 Extra websites recently, you may want to run an AV scan. Both sites were recently found to be hosting a malicious iframe, injecting visitors with malware. Visitors are hit with a drive-by download of the Phoenix exploit kit. So run your scan already. The operators of the Winamp forum have begun asking users to change their passwords as a precaution. Evidently, the Winamp forum was compromised and the email addresses of its users, but not the passwords, were stolen. I'd also be looking out for phishing attacks. The point-of-sale systems at Days Jewlers based in Waterville, Maine were recently compromised, and at least 1,000 people had their credit card details leaked to the internet. The company is working with the state police to investigate the matter. The computerized dispatching system for the ambulance service in New South Wales, Australia, had to be taken offline recently after their system became infected with a virus. So they started to dispatch ambulances with their backup technology. Pencil and paper. Last week we told you how Microsoft had finally killed off AutoRun and XP by pushing out an important non-security update. But not so fast. Evidently, Microsoft changed its mind and made the update optional. So much for protecting the great unwashed masses. Kevin Poulsen's book Kingpin, which is no relation to Joe Kingpin Grand, goes on sale this week. He sent us a review copy a few weeks ago, but we've just been too busy gathering news to sit down and read it. The book covers the story of Iceman, aka Max Vision, aka Max Butler, and how he stole millions of credit card numbers as he ran the popular underground forum Carter's Planet. All the other reviews I've read so far say it's a great book. We'll try to get our own review out for you soon, but in the meantime, pick up your own copy. And that's all the quick stories we found on the net this week. That means it's time for your Con Fu.
Con Fu is sponsored by Source Conference, a global security, technology, and business forum.
If you're planning on participating in the Pwn2Own contest at CanSec West this year, be advised that Windows 7 Service Pack 1 will be released the day before they freeze the laptop configs. That's right, SP1 will be on the Pwn2Own laptops. You won't have much time to test your exploits. Good luck. CoreLogic will be hosting the Crack Me If You Can password cracking contest at DEF CON 19 this year. As a precursor to the contest, CoreLogic has posted a wide variety of word lists for you to practice on, including several variations of the RockU password lists. The first ever HoneyNet Project public conference will happen in Paris towards the end of March. Paris in March. It is lovely that time of year. And now it's time, once again, for the Stack of Shame. We've started to track 10 vulnerabilities that did not drop last week when ZDI promised they would. ZDI says there are various valid reasons for not releasing these vulnerabilities. Some of these bugs are several years old. Not really sure why they needed even more time. Does ZDI have the balls to give this thing some teeth? Or was this just a huge bluff that fooled a good chunk of vendors into acting? Once. Marcus? What's up, man? Waiting on you. So here it is, the Stack of Shame. ZDI's catalog of unpatched bugs that the vendors have shipped out into your network, putting you at risk. That's it for this week's H&N Cast. Go out and pick up your copy of Kingpin today. I've been your host, Space Rogue, and you've been watching Remember, if you have any news you think we should report, send it to news@hackernews.com. You have been watching H&N Cast. This is Space Rogue for the Hacker News Network.
Funny do bad things.